Why is everyone talking about hydroxychloroquine again? And what do you need to know about censorship, plus mysterious seeds that are somehow being delivered to Americans all over the country? We have a lot of news to get to today. I had to stand up for this one. So we're going to try to get through a lot of news really quickly with just what you need to know. So let's talk about what's happening with hydroxychloroquine. And to do this, to talk about what's happening in the current news cycle, I'm going to back up about 6 months, maybe even further. Let's just talk about hydroxychloroquine in general. Hydroxychloroquine is a treatment that's been around since the 1950s. It's treated a variety of different things, but mainly autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis. And the reason why hydroxychloroquine came up related to the virus that causes the disease COVID-19 is that after the SARS outbreak in the early 2000s, the CDC tested a quote unquote relative of hydroxychloroquine as a potential treatment for SARS. So we're going to fast forward to this brand new coronavirus known as SARS-CoV-2 that is very genetically similar to the original SARS virus. And here we are in the middle of a pandemic that just exploded around the world back in the spring, and people seeking treatments. A very small early study. I have to tell you guys this. I'm sorry. An armadillo just went past my window. I've been sitting here in the office wondering what is the sound that is happening outside my window. I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning, and an armadillo just walked by. I feel like you need to know that happened. I mean, what else can happen in 2020? Okay. You guys are not going to believe me unless I show you what's going on here. Where did they go? Liberty, what do you think?
He's huge.
He is huge. What is he doing?
Looking for bugs?
All right, let's pick up where we left off. So a very small study in France in the spring seems to suggest some optimism about using hydroxychloroquine to treat patients suffering from COVID-19. You had the FDA issuing an emergency use authorization, allowing doctors in the United States to start using hydroxychloroquine more freely related to COVID-19. You had the President of the United States and others talking about it as a treatment. Again, a lot of optimism about treating this mysterious new illness that had exploded around the world. Since then, the FDA has removed that emergency use authorization, and they have done so because different clinical studies have shown that it doesn't appear that hydroxychloroquine is likely to help those suffering from COVID-19. But the language is that it's not likely to help. And certainly other research will be done. What happened this week is that you had doctors talking about health policy related to COVID-19 in Washington, D.C. One of the doctors mentioned hydroxychloroquine as a cure. And this is where things get a little difficult because in general, for example, businesses can't claim a cure for a treatment that they're trying to sell. It's actually against the law. You have to be very careful about how you're talking about health-related supplements, for example. And so although the doctor wasn't selling hydroxychloroquine, this is where it gets into a gray area where there can be the criticism of disinformation. And so big companies like Twitter and Facebook removed a viral video of this doctor talking about hydroxychloroquine and other doctors talking about other issues. So you have two separate issues. You have controversy about the treatment of hydroxychloroquine, and you also have this issue of censorship. And just as an entrepreneur, I'll tell you, we use social media platforms all the time. If a social media company wants to remove this very video, for example, I don't have a lot of recourse. It's one of the reasons why I encourage you to visit smarternews.com and sign up for our newsletter, because we always want to stay connected. And we're in a world and a time when there's a lot of unknowns. And I think that's the most important thing to kind of walk away from this with, is that we're only 6 months into this pandemic. We do not have years and years and years of research about treating it. Someday we will. And so we're in this time period where you're going to be hearing a lot of different information that may be contradictory, and it's just because this is the time that we're in. Different companies are using different tools to deal with that in the way that they feel is best, but it's controversial. And removing this video has been very controversial and has raised questions about the editorial controls of these large companies. So I hope that kind of covers a couple of the different aspects of this story. I'm going to run through a quick other couple things that you need to know. It's interesting, one of the studies that we're featuring on the website today is not peer reviewed. It's another study that is showing how doctors are attempting to group the different symptoms related to COVID-19 in the hopes to get a better understanding about who's most vulnerable for a more severe case. I mentioned that the study is not peer reviewed because a lot of the research that's coming out is not peer reviewed, which is an extra step to make sure that the study is on firm footing. But that's the sort of time that we're in, because researchers and scientists are really trying to hustle to try to empower doctors and the medical community and patients to do the best that they can through this pandemic. So watch out for that. On our website, they have 6 different categories for different symptoms related to COVID-19. 2 other quick stories. One is that there was a shark attack off the coast of Maine. I'm mentioning this because it is the first known fatality for a shark attack of a great white shark off the coast of Maine. So it's a story that we're going to be watching, because it's always interesting to sort of when these stories come up, of course, it ignites a certain fear in all of us, any of us who have watched Jaws. But this is because it's so unusual. Even though we think it's happening more often, it is very unusual. So it's a story that I have up on the website. And also, finally, I'm sure some of you guys have seen these reports of these mysterious seeds showing up at people's houses in little packets. It's happened in more than a dozen US states. And it looks like it's coming from China. The package is coming from China. The news update is that the US government is testing these seeds. They're telling people not to plant them and not to throw them out, because they're worried about, are they an invasive weed, for example? What are these seeds? Where do they come from? No one knows. I'll tell you, when I first saw the reports, I wondered if it was real. One of our friends received the packet of seeds, and now with the USDA investigating it, this is real. Health departments across the country are looking into this, and they're telling people to call their officials and don't do anything with the seeds. So don't do anything with the seeds. Be careful out there. Watch out for armadillos and sharks, and we'll continue to keep you updated on some of the different contradictory information that's happening, that's going to continue to happen. And unfortunately, I don't want to say we have to get comfortable with it. We just have to work through it the best way that we can, with the facts available at the time, with an understanding that we have to be flexible. We're in the middle of the very beginning of this story, and there's a lot more work to be done. All right, guys, questions and comments, let me know, and always more at smartnews.com.